What it do, world? It's your favorite homie, Rich Smoka. We back with another one. Look, we doing a video on Christian Dior, Louis V. You know what I'm saying? But we doing a video on Christian Dior. This is like a background, the history of the creator, the founder of Christian Dior, and then it's gonna take us all the way into how they got to where they is today. You know what I'm saying? Christian Dior, everybody love that. To me, they very, very much over expensive. They cool. They just the words said a bunch of time over some motherfucking leather or something, and then they charging damn near 6,000. You know what I'm saying? I seen a bag that was like this big. It might be able to hold 5 things in it. They were charging 3,000 for it, but people buying it. You feel me? Like I ain't gonna lie. Like I be on that too. You feel me? Little Gucci thonks right here. I know y'all see it. You feel me? That's why they call me the Rich Smoker. Nah, I'm just playing though. Hey, don't forget to hit that bell notification button. Like, subscribe, also comment. You feel me? I read all the comments, reply to a few, and I will join your ass if you're trying to get on that, my boy. But let's go ahead and get into the. Oh, wait. Before I forget, take this time to get your mind right. You know what I'm saying? Twist if you're going to twist. Spark if you're going to spark. Pour if you're going to pour. Sip if you're going to sip. Go ahead and call Bay like, hey, Bay! That funny nigga on YouTube again. It's your boy. Let's get in this bitch.
Lived a life full of unexpected changes. From extreme wealth and abundance to dire poverty and homelessness. And back again. Want to know how this unusual visionary managed to establish one of the most powerful brands on the planet? Then keep watching. Christian Dior was born on the 21st of January, 1905, in Granville, a seaside town in the north of France. His family later moved to the bustling city of Paris. And this is where Christian would spend his youth. He was the second of 5 children born to Madeleine and Alexandra Dior. And his father, Alexandra, was the owner of a highly successful fertilizer manufacturer. It was thanks to this that the Dior family lived such a comfortable bourgeois life, at least for some time. As a boy, little Christian...
I'm still tripping off 1905. Like, I get it, Christian Dior been around for a while. But that's kind of young when you compare it to like Rolex, Mercedes, like other companies that's like super high end. Even though they sell different shit, I thought like Dior been around since maybe the 1800s sometime, like maybe 1850, 1860, 1870, somewhere around there. But for him to be born in 1905, I'm interested in when he started Dior.
Lived in his own world. He was amused by anything that was sparkling or frivolous, but his greatest love was for flowers and plants. He was also passionate about art, and he hoped to someday become an architect. His father, however, had other plans for him. Alexandra didn't think his son would be able to make a living for himself as an artist, and instead, he wanted him to become a diplomat. Although it didn't interest young Dior at all, he eventually caved to his father's wishes, and in 1925, he enrolled at the prestigious École des Sciences Politiques, his major, political science. This way, he would surely find work as a diplomat later on.
So you're
After
about
his
20 right now.
graduation in 1928, 23-year-old Dior found his way back to the creative world. He opened a small art gallery with his father's money, and in exchange for the financial support, his father's only demand was that the family name should not appear above the gallery or be used in connection with it. Happy to finally be able to get into art again, Christian quickly accepted, and in a short time, the gallery was open. He sold art by the likes of Pablo Picasso, Georges Braque, Jean Cocteau, and Max Jacob. But in 1931, the unimaginable happened. Both Christian's mother and older brother passed away, and due to the Great Depression, his father lost control of the family business. Just 3 years after setting the place up, Christian was forced to close it again. and financial troubles were looming.
He should be about 26 right now. I'm following along, right?
Losing his mother and brother deeply affected the young Christian, and without financial help from his father, he was now forced to find creative ways to earn a living.
I ain't gonna lie, that nigga Christian look older than his dad. And he don't even look like his dad. Like his dad look like he something mixed with something. Christian Dior look like an old ass white man already. He ain't supposed to be, what I said, 26 right now? That's wild.
To make ends meet, he sold all the stocks of the gallery. But this wasn't enough. He lost his apartment and had to sleep on a friend's floor. But his darkest days were yet to come. Due to his poor diet and subpar living conditions, Christian contracted tuberculosis, and he spent a year in recovery. So far, so failed, you might think. But Dior was a survivor, and once healed, he found new ways to make money. He started out by selling his fashion sketches for about 10 cents each, and not much later, he also began selling sketches of hat designs to newspapers. Dior clearly had a talent, and he was offered a job as a design assistant with Swiss-born but Paris-based courtier Robert Peugeot. Dior later said that Robert Peugeot taught me the virtues of simplicity through which true elegance must come. Working with Robert was Dior's first step towards a serious involvement in fashion, and it opened many doors for him too. However, he would only get to explore those some years later, because now the Second World War began, and Dior was called up for military service by the French army. While some sources say that he served as an officer, others state that he did compulsory farm work. But one thing is certain, Dior did not stay until the very end of the war. Instead, he opted out, returned to Paris, and began working in haute couture for Lucien Lelong. Lucien was more a businessman than a designer, but he cleverly employed young talents to produce ideas, which he then edited into a collection. Throughout the remaining years of the war, Lelong's design house dressed the women of both Nazis and French collaborators, and Dior's ambition, slowly but surely, began to sprout into his own ideas for a business.
True hustler. You feel me? That's some true hustling shit right there. And he was sick.
At the end of the war, millionaire Marcel Boussac noticed that he had factories standing idle. To keep the machines running, he wanted to buy a new fashion house, and seeing Dior's potential, he invited him over. He offered him the opportunity to receive a defunct fashion house called Philippe et Gaston, but Dior refused. By now, Christian was no longer interested in simply working for others, and he surely wasn't going to try and raise a failed company from the dead either. No, what he wanted was to make a fresh start under his own name. Forget trying to revive other people's brands, he wanted to create his own. And luckily for him, Boussac agreed. The millionaire handed him a large sum of money, and with his financial backing, a 41-year-old Dior could now launch his true career. That same year, he opened up his very own boutique at the famous Locale 30 Avenue, Montaigne. And the Christian Dior brand was finally created. Dior's father died in December of that year, but I guess we can assume that, this time, he didn't have a problem with his son using the family name.
He ain't need his money.
In the following months, Christian began working harder than ever before. And while he may have achieved a degree in political science, it quickly became clear that his true education came from somewhere else. Associating with so many of the world's greatest artists had instilled a unique eye for fashion in him, and his privileged early years truly shone through. During the previous 2 decades, a pragmatic trend had taken over the entire fashion industry. This trend had reached its pinnacle during the Second World War, when clothing was rationed. But Dior had never been a fan of it. He wasn't interested in pragmatism. He wanted dreams and glamour. And now that the war was over, he felt that it was time for a change.
That's crazy how the war is so much has so much to do with Christian Dior. I watch a lot of these videos. I was watching the one on Rolex, and World War II was a pivotal moment for Rolex becoming what they is today too. So that's wild. The World War II sprouted a lot of shit that we into today.
He
I might do a
wanted
video on
to
World War II.
reintroduce femininity and a focus on luxury. And what better way to do that than by creating a collection that was unashamedly decadent? Spurred on by his inspiration, it took less than 3 months from the brand's creation to launch its first couture collection. The big flower lover that he was, Dior named the collection Carole, and the pieces were truly groundbreaking at the time. The look harked back to an earlier Belle Epoque silhouette, and it was romantic, lavish, and feminine, all at the same time. Think lifted busts, softly sloped shoulders, clinched-in corseted waists, and puffy long skirts with taffeta and tulle. The garments were opulent, and each dress had an average of 20 yards of fabric. As you can guess, this didn't necessarily make them easy to wear, but the designs were revolutionary, and the collection was a huge success. However, not everyone was pleased, and one person in particular made some snarky remarks: Coco Chanel. You see, at that time, Dior's style was dubbed the New York. The reason for this is that his look was so different from the androgynous styles which had been all the rage until then. More specifically, the androgynous style which Chanel had been a pioneer. Coco was the patron saint of pants, and to her, Dior's pieces seemed too stiff, too fussy, and most importantly, too hard to breathe in. She accused him of dragging women back to the 19th century ideals of femininity. And she once even growled, "Dior doesn't dress women, he upholsters them." Of course, Dior himself saw it differently, and he once said, "I think of my work as ephemeral architecture, dedicated to the beauty of the female body."
When you have success, especially you doing your thing, and it look like nothing can fuck you over, and then you doing some shit that's not even your lane, it's in somebody else's lane, you gonna get a lot of haters. You feel me? And that just sound like some hating ass shit. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, maybe I missed something, but that just sound like some hating ass shit coming from that broad.
In the United States, however,
No offense,
many
Scott.
women agreed with Coco. And when Dior visited in the autumn of 1947, demonstrators welcomed him with placards urging him to go home.
Damn.
Despite the backlash in the US, Dior persevered. By now, he was already a major player in the revival of couture in France. But he wanted to expand even further, and this globalization went rather quickly. 1 year after launching his collection, he opened a store in New York City, and with the global launch came an expanded collection as well. Dior understood that to continue his legacy, he needed to provide the entire fashion experience. So like many other fashion houses, he began with creating a fragrance. He called it Miss Dior, and it served as an ode to his sister, Catherine. Later, he also licensed the Dior name for accessories. Now, Dior lovers could fully capture the New York look from head to toe by buying the clothes, the jewelry, and the smell. In the following years, the brand continued to flourish. Dior went on to dress the biggest stars of the time, and by the mid-1950s, the House of Dior was a highly respected fashion empire.
When did they start making clothes for men? Because I see a lot of niggas now, like, obviously they make clothes for men now, but, like, when did they start doing that shit? It's something new? Like, it is always, like, I see it just start off as some women shit, so when did they start making clothes for men, and when the man be like, damn, these women look so good in Dior, I want me some. Like, that's how I'm starting to feel now, like, damn. I'm glad I ain't got no Dior.
It was also around this time that the now world-famous Yves Saint Laurent entered the picture. The fresh-faced 19-year-old initially began working as Dior's assistant, but it didn't take long for Dior to notice his potential. In fact, he admired the young boy's eye for fashion so much that he wanted him to be his successor when the time would come. Little did anyone know that time would come sooner than expected. In 1957, Dior traveled to Italy to vacation in the town of Montecatini. But while there, he suffered his third heart attack and died.
Damn, third one? I ain't gonna lie. Little fun fact about your boy Rich Smoka. I had a heart attack, nigga. April 2023, yeah. In this same year, a couple of months ago, I had a heart attack. I'm only 26, you feel me? And that shit wasn't no joke. Like, I'm just sitting there cooling. Next thing I know, I wake up, I'm in the hospital. And this is like 4 or 5 days later. Like, what? Like, that's crazy. His third one.
At the age of 52. The entire fashion world felt the loss deeply, and to keep the brand from veering off course, Eve was given the role of artistic director. The young talent kept Christian's legacy and creative vision alive by using the same fabrics and proportions, but he also introduced a softer silhouette and pieces that were lighter and easier to wear. While many collections were a hit, the industry struggled to accept someone else leading the brand.
Saint Laurent, I think they only make women clothes too, if I'm not mistaken.
And when Eve was drafted into the French army in 1960, Dior's management didn't object to him leaving.
Damn. I see why he did his own shit.
Following Eve's departure, Marc Bohan was appointed creative head in the late 1960s. He instilled a more conservative style and brought the label's designs back to follow more closely what Christian Dior himself had done. He took the classic concept and brought it into the 1960s by streamlining it slightly. This gave it a more modern twist, while still sticking to the Christian Dior look. With Marc at the helm, Dior, once again, became the feminine brand beloved by so many, and the subsequent collections were a hit. Marc was quickly credited as the man who kept the Dior label at the forefront of fashion. And Women's Wear Daily even went as far as to claim that he rescued the firm.
That's cool that everybody that goddamn me took over after bruh died kept it as Christian Dior. Because niggas could have changed that shit. You know what I'm saying? As long as the style was crazy, women still gonna buy that shit.
For over a decade, Marc continued to build the brand, making it even more internationally successful than ever before. Stores started popping up in more cities like London and Hong Kong, and the Dior fashion house was catapulted to the top of the industry. By the late 1970s, Dior had created a worldwide brand recognition, but it had unfortunately also become a hidden asset inside a failing conglomerate called Boussac Sans Frères. In 1978, the Boussac Group filed for bankruptcy, and that also included its assets. Someone was very happy with this news though: Bernard Arnault, the billionaire who's currently running the LVMH empire. Ever since he was a young boy, Bernard had been obsessed with Dior, and the idea of buying up its parent company was music to his ears. When Arnault took charge of Dior, he assumed the roles of chairman, CEO.
That nigga look like Pinky or Pinky in the Brain. That nigga look evil as hell, I ain't gonna lie. Look evil white man, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if I'm fucking with bro, just off the look. Look at that nigga. Yeah.
And managing director. Over the years, a slew of impressive creative directors also added their own little twists to the brand's looks. And despite later being folded into LVMH, Dior continued to...
LVMH own a lot of shit. They damn near own everything. I ain't gonna lie, they own Louis V. They own Balenciaga. They own H&M. Damn, it's a mall. I know this shit. I'm just high as fuck now. Damn. But they own a lot of shit. I'll probably do a video on them too. You know what I'm saying?
Its own impressive standalone brand. Today, Dior is doing well. It recorded a revenue of 28.7 billion euros in the first half of 2021. And the
Damn.
brand can rightly be titled as the epitome of the fashion industry. The
They worth they worth more than Rolex then at that point. 'Cause in the video of Rolex, they say Rolex is worth $3 billion.
luxurious fashion
niggas
house
put it in
has
28.
always strived to create
But Rolex,
an
you know what I'm saying,
enduring
don't sell a
image
lot.
of itself, and it has become known for its meticulous attention to detail. It imbues its wearers with an innate sense of style, no matter the season or the time of day, and it doesn't
hard to
seem
get
like
a
that'll
Rolex.
change anytime soon. This was the story of Christian Dior, the revolutionary visionary who almost ended up as a diplomat just to please his father. It took him 4 decades to put on a show, but when his first collection finally launched,
For them times, these were the bad ones. What's these 1960s? He was like 1940s. Was these the 40s? These were the bad ones back then. He had them. Look at them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
decades to put on a show, but when his first collection finally launched, the whole world took note. And although he passed away over a half
All right, bro. Yeah, that's the story on Christian Dior. How it came about, start to finish. The little nigga, you know what I'm saying, grew up loving art. You know what I'm saying? He turned out to making clothes. That's tough. And he created a legacy that's gonna live on forever, as far as we know it. You know what I'm saying? Christian Dior is a staple right now. You feel me? Yeah. Looking it's gonna be like that forever. They might be, you know what I'm saying, like Louis Vuitton. But don't forget to hit that like button, bell, notification button, subscribe, comment. I read all comments. I reply to a few, and I with all the joining. You feel me, my boy? But until next time, it's Rich Smoka. I'm out.